This is a demo of a farm payroll. We're going to use a dairy farm for our subject. First, we go to the Runner Pay area here. Scrolling down the screen, we can see the staff to be paid in their own individual pay cards. I have 3 staff altogether, and one of them has already had the pay calculated. Richard Stewart has an accommodation allowance of $400 per pay period, which is a fortnight for this company. He also has a $20 wet weather gear allowance each fortnight, and he receives a salary of $48,000 per year based on 110 hours worked a fortnight. Sometimes he works many more hours, and he records every single hour worked on his PaySource phone app, which he downloaded from his app store. We can view the details of his actual hours worked when we click this little button here. That shows me all the time he worked each day, and I can change any of the time periods if I want. If I want to get an overview of all the time bands worked, I can click this button up here on the corner. That lets me see all the time bands for the staff altogether, and each one of them can be altered if I want to by clicking the edit pencil against their names. All of the details can be downloaded here to Excel as well. To return to the main menu, I click this little button here. The PaySource system has a top-up feature applied to Richard. This means that if he works extra hours in busy times of the year, such as calving periods, he might qualify for a top-up, which allows him to get paid for every hour worked at least at the minimum rate. To see how this works, I'm going to add some more hours into his actual hours worked. I'm going to change his 9 hours worked on this day to 10. And that's just enough to put him over the edge. You can see that the system has already worked out he's getting paid below the minimum rate, and it's applied a small top-up to bring him up to the minimum rate for every hour he's worked. To see the details of his payments, I just select this button here in the right-hand corner of his panel. The preview button lets me see all the details of his pay and his deductions. Anything in red is a deduction, so you can see he's paying back $400 for accommodation to the company and $15 for electricity, which I can alter the amount for each time. I scroll down to see any other details I want, so a breakdown of all those payments and deductions is below. Right at the very bottom of that right-hand panel, I can even see the termination pay liability to the company if he terminated today. But I'm happy with that, so I'm going to click the Calculate button on his panel. That puts him at the very bottom of the list of staff, and I can easily bring him back if I want to make changes by clicking on the cross next to his name. That'll put him back to the top of the list if necessary. The next one to look at is Dale. He's a bit different. He's not paid an hourly rate. He's paid per milking, and he's a true casual worker, brought in to help on busy periods. So, as a casual worker, Dale is paid his 8% holiday pay as he goes. He also records the milkings he works on his PaySource phone app, and I can see them here when I click this button. I can see all of the milkings he did each day, and I can also alter this information if I want. I can view his details when I click the preview button as well. And there we go. I can see the total for milkings and his 8% holiday pay on top. Some companies like to pay the holiday pay inclusive of the rate, but in this case it's not. I'm happy with that, so I'll click Calculate and it's done. Now remember, any time I can bring them back to the pay entry state if I click on the X or the cross next to their name. Next step is to go up to the top and click on the Finalize button. That takes me into the Finalize screen where I can see the screen reports. It also shows me the amounts that will be debited from my account to cover the whole payroll in the top left-hand corner. The first report to view is the banking report, showing me the bank accounts and the amounts to be credited to each. And at the bottom of that area I can see the withheld deductions that the staff are paying me back for accommodation, etc. Each one of the screen reports has a little download button on the right-hand corner, so I can download a copy if I want. But I don't really need to do that, because all of the reports will be emailed to me automatically when the pay is closed. And as well as that, the staff, if they have the activation turned on, will receive their pay slips at the same time the pay is closed as well. So the last thing to do is select the Close and Pay button here. Check that the bank account is correct for the deduction and that the payment date is correct as well, and make adjustments if that's not correct. And then click Finish. As soon as I've done that, the new pay period opens and staff can begin entering hours into their timesheet.